Like, comment, and subscribe.
Our inheritance is turned to screams, and our houses to aliens. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. We are drunk in our water for money, and our wood is sold unto us. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. We have given our hand to the Maswayan and to the Assyrian to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we are born their iniquity. Listening to the word with Yakwaba. Guam Yahabada, Wayasharala.
Mixing it up live.
Shalom, fam. So, I got some things ready for you today. I'm going to be doing a continuation on the lesson that I had did, but I'm going into a deeper angle, which is another angle of this lesson. And remember, we was talking about the Haitian Revolution. Let me go ahead and set this up while we prepare, and let me know if my audio is good or bad. And I got a verse for y'all as well. So let me go ahead and get this pulled up for you, fam. So as you see right here, this right here is where we left off last time. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and go in here, and I'm gonna start reading. And shalom to you again. Pure repentance, heart, the kingdom is at hand. Thank you for coming last time. Aman. Thank you. Okay, so it says the Haitian society was deeply fragmented by skin color, class, and gender. To enfranchise most of the mulattoes were sometimes slave owners themselves and aspired to be economic and social levels of the Europeans. They feared and spurned the slave majority, but were generally discriminated against by the white European colonists who were merchants, landowners, overseers, craftsmen, and the like. The aspirations of the enfranchised became a major factor in the colony's struggle for independence. A large part of the slave population was African born. Remember, that's what we'll call a business right here. This is what they named the business. Born from a number of West African people, another name that they put a geographical location for the land that it was at. And also they put African peoples, but the people that was there, according to historians, they were the tribe of Judah that had fled. All right, West African peoples, the vast majority worked in the fields. Others were household slaves, abid, boilermen at the sugar mills, and even slave drivers. Slaves abid endured long, back-breaking work days and often died from injuries, infections, and tropical diseases. Malnutrition and starvation also were common. Some abid managed to escape the maintenance interior, where they became known as Maroons and fought the guerrilla battles against colonial militia. Factual conflicts and rise of Toussaint Louverture. Against this background, across a revolution began as a series of conflicts from the early 1790s. Among the causes of conflicts were the enfranchised frustrations with a racist society turmoil created in the colony. Look at how you look. Colony by the French Revolution, nationalistic rhetoric expressed during voodoo ceremonies, the continuing brutality of slave owners, and wars between European powers. Vincent Ogui, a mulatto who had lobbied the Parisian Assembly for colonial reforms, led an uprising in the late 1790s, but was captured, tortured, and executed. This is Toussaint right here. Haitian leader Toussaint, 1805, not an immigrant. In May 1791, the French revolutionary government granted citizenship to the wealthier enfranchised, but Haiti European population disregarded the law. Within 2 months, isolated fighting broke out between Europeans and the French, and in August, thousands of slaves Abid rose in rebellion. They rose up in self-defense. The Europeans attempted to appease the mulattoes in order to quell the slave revolt, and the French Assembly granted citizenship to all affranchises in April 1792. The country was torn by rival factions, some of which were supported by Spanish colonizers in Santo Domingo on the eastern side of the island, which later became Dominican Republic. So anybody that got an afro that call themselves Dominican, is that your ditty? Is this your ditty? Or by the British troops from Jamaica. In 1793, a commissioner, Ledger Felicity Sonatonax, was sent from France to maintain order and offered freedom to slaves who joined his army. He soon abolished slavery, although a decision confirmed the following year by the French government. In the late 1790s, Toussaint, I don't know how to say his last name, so I just say Toussaint, a military leader and former Abid, gained control of several areas and earned the initial support of French agents. Our people in the Middle East was called Zanj, so if I say Zanj, just know I'm talking about the same people. A former Zanj gained control of several areas and earned the initial support of French agents. He gave nominal allegiance to France while pursuing his own political and military designs, which include negotiating with the British. In January 1801, Toussaint conquered Santo Domingo. In May of that year, he had himself named Governor General for life. He put the peasants back to work on the plantation under military rule, and encouraging many of the French proprietors to return. In December 1801, Napoleon Bonaparte, later Napoleon I, wishing to maintain control of the island, attempted to restore the old regime and European rule by sending his brother-in-law, Jean Charles, I don't know how to say that one, with an experienced force from Saint Domingo that included Alexandre Sebes Petillon, and several other exiled mulatto. That word for exile in Hebrew is gullah. Mulattoes, that means a mix. They're a mix between either Spanish or mixed between the indigenous. Okay, that's why they call them mulatto. Officers, Toussaint struggled for several months against Leclerc forces before agreeing to an armistice in May 1802. However, the French broke the government and imprisoned him in France. He died on April 7, 1803. Independent Haiti. Some of Toussaint's lieutenants, most notable Jean Jacques, in Spanish they say, when they say this is ha, so I don't know if it's Jaquez or Jaquez, because I know that our brothers and sisters in Haiti, they speak French, form of French, but it's their form. Okay, it's not the same, I was told, as the European, the French, because they was colonized by the French, and that's why I reckon that they speak the way that they speak now. Okay, so let me go down. Resumed the war against French in 1802. They were soon joined by Pétain and other mulatto leaders who were infiltrated by the restoration of the restrictions on their casta. Both the Negroes, both the blacks, that means the mangrooms and the mixed people, were engaged by reports that France had reestablished slavery in Guadeloupe, and I think that's Martinique, and the struggles were carried on with great desperation. The French were weakened by epidemic of yellow fever. Leclerc succumbed to the disease in November 1802, and the conclusion of Louisiana Purchase in May 1803 signaled Napoleon's intention to withdraw from North America. You see how North America was a part of this, so it was the same colony, run by the same people. Less than 3 weeks later, French position in Haiti became truly hopeless with the renewal of hostilities between France and Britain on May 18, 1803. On November the 18th, Armée Indigène, French indigenous army under Dessalines defeated the French at the Battle of Vatarez, and French Jean Baptiste Donatien de Villemur commute to, I don't know, man. I'm gonna keep going. Surrendered Cap Francus, now Cap Haïtien, the last significant French stronghold. Under the term of the surrender, French were given 10 days to evacuate, but I don't know how to say that, so just keep note of that. If you know how to read that, you know how to read it. Showed no haste in embarking his troops. Dessalines responds by threatening to turn his cannons on the French ships at anchor in Cap Francus harbor. Ironically, it would fall in the Royal Navy, which had been blockading Saint Dominic since resumption of Napoleonic Wars to carry out the evacuation. British Captain John Block treated with both the person up there in Dessalines and the French garrison finally departed Cap Francus as British prisoners. While this marked the end of French military action on Haiti, France continued to maintain a presence. This is the part I want to get to, and I read all that for a reason. A presence in the eastern part of the islands until 1809. On January 1804, the entire island was declared independent under Arawak, derived name of Haiti. Many European powers and their Caribbean surrogates. What's a surrogate? Ostracized Haiti, fearing the spread of slave Abid revolts, Zanj revolts, where reaction in the United States was mixed. slave owning states did all that they could to suppress news of the rebellion, but merchants in the free states hoped to trade with Haiti rather than with European powers. More important, nearly the entire population was utterly destitute, a legacy of slavery that has continued to have a profound impact on Haiti's history is still going on today. And I'm not going to read any more for right now. Remember, we stop right here. We stop right here. And I want to tell you that France still had Haiti paying them for reparation. Shalom, Naomi. So if somebody slap you without you messing with them, take all your children and all your ancestors, bring them over to a place, bed buck them and whip them and script them and beat them senseless and destroy their whole mindset in life. According to what they doing, they saying that it's righteous and good that the victims of this atrocious crime should pay them reparations. So they've been paying France ever since. Okay, and a lot of stuff been going on with our brothers and sisters over there in Haiti. All right, and so when they came to America, you see who all was involved in destroying the setup that they had, and a lot of the people that's in Haiti were slaves that fled out of North America to down there to Haiti. Some of them fled through Florida, they came through Georgia and everywhere after they joined the Muskogee and the other indigenous tribes in North America to fight against the military that came against them unprovoked, and the Negroes that was there, they were either called Maroons, Moors, or they were called Negro Seminoles or Black Seminoles. The Spanish called them Seminolas, and in their language it means runaway slave, because when they looking for the Seminolas, they're looking for runaway slave, free labor. So that's so all of our people were spread all out. So some ships, the Clotilda and all these different type of ships, there were ships that would take our people down there to the islands, and only a few of us was taken up to the north, but it was still a lot. So the majority of us was taken to the islands and stuff like that, the Bahamas and places like that. But some of us was taken up north. All right. And even though we could say it wasn't that many, but it was that many because it was a lot of us. Okay. The majority of us was taken to the islands, the Bahamas and places like that. Look right here. All these names that we calling ourselves is named after old slave masters. So if you call yourself American, you calling yourself Amerigo. Is that your deity? If you call yourself this right here, you calling this your deity. If you call yourself where's the other name at what I was reading? Dominican, you name yourself after your slave master that bed buck and tore up your family line and everything and ripped it out your head and smashed it and spit on it. That's what you doing to yourself. If you say, I reject my father and mother name, I'm a Dominican, I know black. Even our brothers and sisters that was taken to a place that they called, even if our brothers and sisters named this Jamaica, we might need to do some history research on the name, the origin of Jamaica. Let me click in the name real quick. All right, also known as, I can't call that name, but a lot of our brothers and sisters that's in Jamaica were also called Maroons. All right, what is Jamaica and where is it located? All right, Jamaica Island, country of the West Indies. It is the third largest island in the Caribbean Sea after Cuba and Hispaniola. So we remember how Cuba, how Hispaniola was named. Jamaica is about 146 miles 235 long and varies from, I ain't got to read all that. Let me go to the part. All right. It is situated some 100 miles west of Haiti. So it's 100 miles from Haiti, 90 miles from Cuba, 390 miles north of the nearest point on the mainland of Cape Gracias Dios on the Caribbean coast of Central America. So what is this called here? What's Central America, family? So do you see a connection between Central America, Haiti, Jamaica? Do they not under the same jurisdiction? Cuba, Hispaniola, Caribbean, Kingston, Christopher Columbus, who we learned about in school as American history. Remember Christopher Columbus, who we learned in school as American history? He said he discovered India, but he didn't really find India. He came to a place that wasn't India, and what they call it now, the Caribbean islands. Who first sighted the island in 1494. Remember, we did a study of them destroying the kingdom of Judah, Yahweh, around this same time right here. And he got Christopher Columbus got he had got, and when I find that video, I will share the video. Okay, but Christopher Columbus got permission from one of the popes to go and discover land, and they said he was going to discover India. He went to the New World over here, and he so-called discovered a place where it was already Taino, and the tribes over there, that other tribe, Sabuni tribe. So he came over here and discovered something that was already there, that was already inhabited by people, right? And like they do the Thanksgiving study, a story, the celebration of the slaughter of the indigenous folk that was already over here, the Taino and the Sabuni people, who first sighted the island in 1494. This is the same time when Yahweh was being exiled out of Spain and Portugal. Okay, this is the same time when the Timbuktu was up and running, when the kingdom of Judah, Awida, Yahweh was on the west coast of Africa after they reestablished their kingdom over there in the west coast of Africa, beyond the rivers of Kush, beyond the Ethiopian rivers. Where that's at? Africa. Okay, so where did they target? Christopher Columbus, who first sighted the island in 1494. And remember, we did a study of the European guy saying that the Yahudim were the ones that was going through all this stuff. Remember, the European guy, and that's on one of my other videos. I will share that with you, y'all were willing. The European guy said it was the Yahudim going through all this trouble and all this right here, and slavery and captivity and trafficking and all that, right? He said it. So in 1494, what was going on? Christopher Columbus, who first sighted in the island, and remember, we're going on down, we're going to look at this, called it Santiago, but originally indigenous name of Jamaica. So you look at this right here. The indigenous people called it Jamaica. They called it Santiago. Y'all remember the show used to come on when we was little, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? Where is it? Is it Jamaica? Or it's Mecca? Has persisted. Colombia considered it to be the fairest island that eyes behold. So when they seen something, they said, "Oh, this is so beautiful," right? And he not only said that, when they did some studies and research and look inside of his diaries, he was talking like he was some kind of player or something over there, messing with them women over there that did not want him. how they did the little girls, the 12, and they dismantled the indigenous folk and get a holiday. And many travelers still regard it as one of the most beautiful islands in the Caribbean, Jamaica. The island various Spanish, French, look, Spanish. Spain had a colony in Florida. Remember, the colonies was set up for the Yahudim. In the last video that I did, it showed you through the European scholar. He said that the colonies around this time was set up for the Yahudim, for the Yahabadah. He said Jews, but Yahabadah was set up for Yahabadah. So the European scholar said that the colonies were set up for the Yahudim to be slaves in. Let that sink in. So all the colonies were set up by the French, the British, Spanish, the Portuguese, all the ones involved in the slave trade, said it was set up by the European colonizers for the Judeans, that they may be slaves in. English places named are remnants of its colonial history. The great majority of its people are of Judean ancestry. They say African ancestry, and some of our brothers and sisters gonna fight for that to the day they go. It's okay. But we know that even some of our brothers and sisters in Africa said that Africa was once named Alkebulan at one time. Some say it was also named Kemet at one time. The Israelites said it was named the Arats, and they also said that the continent was also called Kawash, Ethiopia. The Europeans called Africa Ethiopian. That's why they named the sea Atlantic Ocean. That is Greek for Ethiopian Ocean. The Bible calls that part of the water that they call the Atlantic Ocean Yam Kawash, Ethiopian Ocean, land of the Blacks Ocean, in the Gaaz language. African ancestry, the descendants of far ancestry, the descendants of slaves brought by European colonizers. So it's European colonizers. When you go back to the European guys study, you will see that these colonizers were setting up these places for the Yahabadah. And in 1948, something happened. Now, if these people who were being trafficked and all that crossed the Atlantic Ocean are Yahabadah, why in the world, when the Arabian people said that the Israelites left their Shakar, but they came back to Laban? That's what the Arabs said. The descendants of, matter of fact, I heard a sheikh that was raised over there that know his ancestral line. He says, he shows you proof of his ancestral lines. Our brother, what was his name? The brother that has he does videos on this. Where is the real Jerusalem? What's our brother name? Stephen Graham Ministries. He goes over there and speaks directly to the leaders. He spoke directly to the Shakar, the dark-skinned leaders over there. Shakar means dark, very dark skin, right? Shawkar leaders over there. The leader is called the Shaikh. All right. And I thought that was his name. But that leader over there is named Shaikh. That's what they call him, because he's the Shaikh. All right. And he said that we the people. But when it comes from the mouth of the people who you ain't supposed to listen to, according to what is deemed as acceptable knowledge, a lot of us will push that away, even if a European come to you. Like the European guy I read the other day, a lot of our people will push that away because it gives accurate credence to what's already been spoken by your people. A leader said this a long time ago. He said, European people, all they have to do is just copy the studies of us, and our people will more so gravitate to believing it because it came out of them, right? Because our people been broken down not to believe nothing unless it comes from the person that is a acceptable source of recordable knowledge. All right. European colonizers. What's a colonizer, family? Okay. So let's look up this word here, colonizer. And we're going to go to Joel. All right. This is Joel. When Joel get done reading, I'm going to rest my voice. And then I'm finna look up the word colonizer and come down into the comment section and ask y'all what do y'all think. Y'all want to make any statements about this, you can, but I'm finna go ahead and let y'all read out, and then I'll be right in the comment section with y'all. Wait, please listen. I'm gonna blur it off of the screen, and you're gonna be watching the wind blow. But listen, fam, pay close attention to what the prophet, a real prophet, said. I don't care what no other preachers say that this prophet is telling a lie. I'd rather believe what your wall said rather than any prophet any day. Here you go, the prophet Joel.
The book of Joel, chapter 1. The word of the Lord that came to Joel the son of Pethuel. Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. Hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation. That which the palmer worm hath left, hath the locust eaten, and that which the locust hath left, hath the cankerworm eaten, and that which the cankerworm hath left, hath the caterpillar eaten. Awake, ye drunkards, and weep, and howl, all ye drinkers of wine, because of the new wine, for it is cut off from your mouth. For a nation is come up upon my land, strong and without number, whose teeth are the teeth of a lion, and he hath the cheek teeth of a great lion. He hath laid my vine waste, and barked my fig tree. He hath made it clean, bare, and cast it away. The branches thereof are made white. Lament like a virgin girded with sackcloth for the husband of her youth. The meat offering and the drink offering is cut off from the house of the Lord. The priests, the Lord's ministers, mourn. The field is wasted, the land mourneth. For the corn is wasted, the new wine is dried up, the oil languisheth. Be ye ashamed, O ye husbandmen, howl, O ye vine dressers, for the wheat and for the barley, because the harvest of the field is perished. The vine is dried up, and the fig tree languisheth, the pomegranate tree, the palm tree also, and the apple tree, even all the trees of the field are withered, because joy is withered away from the sons of men. Gird yourselves, and lament, ye priests, howl, ye ministers of the altar, come, lie all night in sackcloth, ye ministers of my God. For the meat offering and the drink offering is withholden from the house of your God. Sanctify ye a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the elders and all the inhabitants of the land into the house of the Lord your God, and cry unto the Lord. Alas for the day of the Lord is at hand, and as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. Is not the meat cut off before our eyes, yea, joy and gladness from the house of our God? The seed is rotten under their clods, The garners are laid desolate, the barns are broken down, for the corn is withered. How do the beasts groan? The herds of cattle are perplexed, because they have no pasture. Yea, the flocks of sheep are made desolate. O Lord, to thee will I cry. For the fire hath devoured the pastures of the wilderness, and the flame hath burned all the trees of the field. The beasts of the field cry also unto thee. For the rivers of waters are dried up, and the fire hath devoured the pastures of the wilderness.
Amen. So y'all see, you see that the prophets speak about a time when the nation of Yasharal, when the meat offering and the drink offering and all those things ceased, right? And the prophet Yawal said that this is close to the time when Messiah is getting ready to come back and bring judgment on the earth. He did not say that he was getting ready to come and die for the sins. He's prophesying about coming and rendering judgment on the earth. So if we go to verse 2 in this same book, it's going to give you even more deep, detailed prophecy about these locusts. All right, because he was not talking about a band of creeping things just destroying Yasharal, because they dealt with locusts and all that all the time. What he was talking about, the economic destruction of Yasharal, all right, the eating of the foods and everything, our whole destruction as a people. What the prophet Yawal was talking about is other nations coming inside of, like he said, nations have risen up against you, right? And then he said, in the last day, they're telling you in the last day, what did Hamashiach say? That the meat offering and the drink offering would cease. You know, when the veil was rent, the time was getting ready to come. When the temple was getting ready to be destroyed, as prophesied by the prophets, Hamashiach, whom Hamashiach called and gave the word to, prophesied by them inside of your scriptures, inside of your sapar, your scrolls. All right. It was prophesied that the temple must be destroyed by the prophet Obadiah, by the prophet Yawal, by Hamashiach himself, who spoke to the prophets and said this before he left. All right. Mashpakah. So we see that if Yahushua, for a lot of people that say they believers in the Messiah, if Yahushua tell us a lie, we don't need to believe him, because he's not sent from Yah. The prophet Masha spoke of Yahushua. And anybody that say, well, we believe him through the mouth of Moses, we trust in Moses. Or some say we don't trust in Moses, we trust in Yahushua. But Yahushua said that Masha spoke of me, and it is he who will condemn you, because he spoke of me. He said, if you can't believe Masha, how can you believe my words? Yahushua didn't come to be a rebel against his father. He said, I have not come to abolish the law and the prophets. I have not come to abolish them. I have come to fulfill them. I have come to do them. I've come to do the law. I've come to fulfill my part of what I'm supposed to do. So when he came and died on the tree, is that all that's spoken of Hamashiach? Is him dying on the tree for the sins of Yasharal? Is that all that's spoken of him? Is that he just died on the tree and that's it? He gone and the world gonna always be like it is? Is that what he said? Or is there a future that is prophesied about inside of the prophets? Khan, it is a future. It is a future. Yahushua, it is a prophecy in this book, in the book of Yawal, that speaks about the last day. And I want you to hear it, because what is the day of Yahweh? That's the last trumpet. When the last trumpet blow, that's the end. That's when recompense come upon the earth, because of what? I'm going to let it read to you. And then I'm finna go ahead and let the other thing read. And then I'm finna read to you the definition of a colonizer. All right? Listen, Mashpaka.
Joel 2. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations.
Now I want you to listen close to what the prophet said. Listen to what the prophet say. All right, Mashpaka? I'm going to let that run over again. Listen to this.
Joel 2. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain.
When he say blow the trumpet, that means that a war, that's a alert for war, right? The nation was getting ready to Sion, the capital. When you blow the trumpet in Sion, that's the capital. That's the heartbeat of Yasharal. That's the heartbeat. So when he said blow ye the trumpet in Sion, that's the heartbeat of Yasharal. And we say now Yasharum and different other names. But listen to this.
Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it.
It ain't gonna be any more after it. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness. As the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There have not been ever the like. There's not been the ones in these last days, there's not been one ever the like. Never been a nations that did like this before. Neither shall be any more after it. No other nation gonna top this one. No other dynasty gonna top this one. Even to the years of many generations. A fire devoured before them, and behind them a flame burned. When a fire devoured before them, and behind them they leave nothing but burnt up plants. They leave a desolation. When they go through, when this nation that come against Sion, when they come through, before them it'll be a fire. Remember, Nebuchadnezzar has levels of his statue. Remember, the iron, and then you got the iron mixed with the clay. So right here, a fire devoured before them. If they come down there and they see the iron down there, and behind them a flame burneth, because they all sit upon the throne of Nebuchadnezzar. The land is as the garden of Adon before them. You remember we read in Yeshaya that Yahushua will be called the chief of Eden, the chief peace of Eden, the chief prince, the chief peace of Eden. That's it. And behind them a desolate wilderness, Khan, yea, and nothing shall escape them. They're going to take it, right? They're going to crush Sion, these people. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run, stubborn, like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devour the stubble. Does fire have compassion on the stubble? Stubble is like that trash that in the desert, in the Sahara, is like a ball of old stuff, old dead roots and stuff that's dead, that's fluttering throughout the wilderness. Now Yahushua said, if they do this when the grass is green, what would they do when a leaf is brown and withering, getting ready to die? He tell you right here. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devour the stubble, burn it up. As a strong people set in battle array. That's what it was. So what happened in the last days was a world war. But a lot of us don't count this as world war. Tawada to Pastor Kelly for bringing that out, because this was a world war. As a strong people set in battle array, before their face the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness, darkness. They shall run like mighty men, very great darkness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. So if you go to the last days, the blackness that is described, they shall run, all the faces shall gather blackness. Evil, Ra, they shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like Adam of war. They shall climb the wall like soldiers. Military, the wall. What is the wall in Yerushalayim? Remember, we read up there Sion. He said, blow the trumpet in Sion. The shofar, blow it in Sion. And they shall march everyone on his ways, all of them in ranks, and they shall not break their ranks. See how the Europeans used to march, the nations of the north? Neither shall one thrust another. They're not going to fight each other. They're going to come and fight against who? Neither shall one thrust another. So the Europeans wasn't thrusting each other. So when they say 1948 happened, and that was slavery, one of our sisters is covering this right now tonight. Sister Ashonda at large. This right here that they went through, it was not slavery. But look at what this say. Neither shall one thrust another. So they wasn't fighting Europeans. They wasn't fighting their kinfolk. Look at this. They was not fighting their blood kinfolk. They shall walk everyone in his path. They wasn't fighting their own kingdom. And when they fall upon the sword, when they fall in war, they shall not be wounded. That means they will not be destroyed. So even if the nations of the north fought each other, they were not wounded, which means they didn't die. They shall run to and fro in the city, all up in the city, in Sion. They shall run upon the wall. They shall run all upon the wall of Sion. Where the watchmen be at? They shall climb up upon the houses, even the houses. They shall enter in at the window like a thief. Like a what? Thief. The earth shall be shaken before them. The country shall be shaken before them. The heavens, the sky shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. When did Hamashiach speak about something like this right here happening? So what time is this talking about? When the sun and the moon is dark and the sun refuse to shine. And Yahweh shall utter his voice. Where is this spoken about? He shall utter his voice as the sound of the archangel, and shall gather his elect. Now we're going to read Yahweh the prophet talking about the elect. And Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. So you still inside of a war. Because if Yahweh utter his voice against this army of this nation, this is still a war. Let me let it read by itself and rest my voice, Mashpaka.
Even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained, all faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great, for he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Therefore also now, saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning, and rend your heart, and not your garments, and turn unto the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of the evil. Who knoweth if he will return and repent, and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and a drink offering unto the Lord your God? Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck the breasts. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. Let the priests, the ministers of the Lord, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, Spare thy people, O Lord, and give not thine heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say among the people, Where is their God? Then will the Lord be jealous for his land, and pity his people. Yea, the Lord will answer and say unto his people, Behold, I will send you corn, and wine, and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith. And I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savour shall come up, because he hath done great things. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for the Lord will do great things. Be not afraid, ye beast of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring, for the tree beareth her fruit, the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your God, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. And the floors shall be full of wheat, and the vats shall overflow with wine and oil. And I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten, the cankerworm, and the caterpillar, and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. And ye shall eat in plenty, and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, that hath dealt wondrously with you. And my people shall never be ashamed. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my Spirit. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and the terrible day of the Lord come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Lord hath said, and in the remnant whom the Lord shall call.
Amen. So let me read what's a colonizer.
Colonist.
A member or inhabitant of a colony. The Jamestown, Plymouth colonist. A person who migrates. A person who migrates. A person who migrates to and settles in a foreign area as part of a colony. Honeybees aren't native to North America. Early colonists brought them over from Europe to provide honey and beeswax. Usage of colonist and colonizer. Colonist and colonizer both have meanings closely tied to the word colonialism. In its use referring to domination of a foreign people. Or area. Colonist, which comes directly from the noun colony, is the more common and usual more neutral term. Colonizer, which comes from the verb colonize. So somebody can be a colonizer. In order for there to be somebody that's colonized, there has to be a colonizer, which comes from the verb colonize, is used especially in contexts in which the exploitative nature of colonialism is being discussed or evoked. This, what I'm saying, is being discussed. But people treat speaking the truth as if you are in evoking, but you are discussing or elaborating or bringing awareness to it, not evoking. The exploitative nature of colonialism is being discussed or evoked in phrases like colonizer, mindset, mentality. It implies a benefit from or even active participation in that exploitation. Settler, pioneer, colonial. Examples: British colonists settled the area in the 18th century. Over time, the colonists began to sense that they were becoming a people unto themselves. Recent examples on the web. The community's festive send-off identifies this is important rite of passage. So, we know, according to our culture, the Israelites, they call themselves Crayola. According to our culture, the man is supposed to be listened to. When grandma and granddaddy came home, they say, baby, listen at what your daddy say. The man is supposed to be the leader, right? But check this out. When interracial dating was first introduced by a Negro male, it was not accepted because the man of the European nations, the men didn't want that to be. So they set up rules and stuff against it. But when this came about, the interracial marriage laws history and timeline of this right here, for this woman right here, then we saw a change. Let's read a little bit of this before I go, fam. Key takeaways: interracial marriage laws began in 1664. That's in the time of slavery. We still in that time. Maryland law banning marriage between white and black people. So we remember, this is a LLC. This is a LLC. The LLC for this was to be Abid or Zanj. The LLC for this was to be the top, the ruler, and the boss. So when the boss wanted to marry one of those people that he called a monkey on the plantation back in the day, maybe not him now, because he's trying to court her. So why would he call her a monkey when he's trying to court her? But between white and black people, many states, including California, until 1948, banned interracial marriage long before federal protections. And in 1967, they banned interracial. My granddaddy was born in 1928, so he lived through a lot of that hell. My great-grandfather was older than him that I met, and he lived through a lot of hell. So if my great-grandfather was older than my grandfather on my grandmama's side, and I never got to meet his daddy, then would it not be plausible that a lot of the mannerisms and things that my granddaddy them did passed down to their children? Like when I held my head down when I walked down the road and stuff like that, because you can't look at massa in the face. Or even you don't look at the police in the face too long, or when the teacher tried to force the young brothers to look at them in their face, and it was against our cultural blood to look at them in the face. So a lot of us wouldn't even look at each other in the face. We'll look our eyes away, because it's a shameful thing for a grown man that's 20 to tell a grown man that's 90 years old that need to be getting respect from the 20-year-old to put his head down and walk away like he a boss. Long before federal protections in 1967, what was going on in 1967, family? What was going on with Elder Martin Luther King them marching? What was going on with Elder Farrakhan and them, and Elder Muhammad and Elder Malcolm and the lawyers? You remember the lawyer that was going around taking cases, dangerous cases? Who got all the credit for the NAACP? Who got all of the resources? Who got all of the benefits from it? The U.S. Supreme Court in 1967 ruling in Loving versus Virginia made interracial marriage legal across the nation. This is a recent thing that's going on right now. We just now coming out of that because some of our parents was born in the 1960s. Mine was born in the 1950s. One of my parents. Y'all see this? When is Michael Jackson's birthday, if anybody can remember? Do you remember Michael Jackson's birthday? Y'all heard him singing So we met somebody that was born around this time right here. Is this real? You, you ever seen Elder Farrakhan's speech? Is he a real person? What about the gate to no return? Is the gate invisible? What about the memorial sites that the Gullah people had built up with Igbo and Yoruba written on them? And Ewe, is that invisible? Or did we actually see the memorial sites? Who are the Igbo? Who are the Yoruba? Who are the Ewe? Who are the Limba people? Who are the Ethiopian Yahudim? Who are the Falasha? The U.S. Supreme Court in 1967, ruling in Loving versus Virginia, made interracial marriage legal across the nation. The white man said, all right now, you're able to go ahead and marry there, buddy. You know, it's a good trade. All right. But not every one of them was okay with that. That's why, even though they passed that bill, just like when you looked at the Caribbean islands up there, a lot of that still wasn't adhered to. Let me let this play while I'm reading this. This is the Jamaican flag right here. That's all for tonight, family. So tonight, let's take a moment of silence out of remembrance for the massacre of the Taino, the Sabuni, Yahabada, Yasharal of the northern tribe beyond the rivers of Kush. Let's take a moment of silence. So in my closing, I want to say condolences to the family of our brother Young Noble that passed away. Condolences to all of the families that lost somebody this year and last year and the year before that. Condolences to the families that's mourning their loved ones that just got gunned down in the street. They got slain and the oppressor called himself not guilty. Condolences to all of the families who were sterilized in the Middle East so that they couldn't have babies. Condolences to the children that lost their mothers and their fathers today. Condolences. Let's take a moment of silence and remember them. And know that Yahweh promised that He is a redeemer and a restorer. My prayer is that He come and restore us and all those innocent people would have an opportunity to live with Him forever in His kingdom and be able to enjoy their life. To the strangers, cleave and believe in our Hamashiach, because He is a redeemer, and a redeemer has to be nearest of kin. I'm about to go, fam. Shalom to the hearers and the keepers of the word of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai.